So, let's talk Jinx. The weekly Jinx video we do every Wednesday about anything to do with Jinx, as well as this video acting as a weekly discussion thread on the Jinx subreddit, our League of Jinx. Make sure to check that out. Something different for this week's video, because in the past we've talked about constantly when we do like the weekly patch videos and the patch notes and the tier lists and stuff like that, we don't really talk about mages. We kind of keep it to like let's just talk about AD carries specifically. Well, depending on your elo, and I know this is more of a higher elo thing than a lower elo thing per se, but mages have been in the bot lane for quite some time now. It seems like they're here to stay for one reason or the other. Maybe Riot just hasn't found enough data to nerf them. Because if we look at sites like LoL Analytics or even champion.gg and stuff like that, when you look at like things that counter these mage champions, it's usually basically no data. So like you maybe see some Ezreal here and there, some Vayne here and there, but there's not like a lot of actual data there for countering these champions. And I think part of that is low play rate, right? So these things maybe are winning, but they're not like winning like hundreds of games for there to be enough data to figure out, oh, this is why they're strong bottom lane. We've talked about the idea that it's probably perhaps that they lack magic resist, AD carries that is, and as such they're very susceptible to mages more than even other AD carries, because at least AD carries scale a little bit of armor, and if you're going against another AD carry, they scale a little bit of armor, but you're both pretty squishy against each other, you're like the same class. It's like two assassins going at it in the mid lane, where they can try and assassinate each other, or something like that, right? However, if you look at like Cassiopeia or Ziggs or Veigar, they don't necessarily have like a lot of champions that people are playing against them. And I think that's also because not a lot of people are necessarily playing those picks a whole heck of a lot. Again, this is more skewed towards the higher level of ranked play. And even up there, it's not necessarily apparently a whole heck of a lot, especially looking at current stuff like after the current AD carry changes, even though those weren't necessarily a lot of bar moving changes, people might even just fall into the placebo thing where like they feel AD carries are probably stronger now, so maybe they're playing more AD carries. But let's say that's not the case, and let's say we actually talk about mages. And especially with Jinx, like how would Jinx deal with some of these mage picks? Because then one of the issue becomes, she's not even a lane bully like a Lucian or something that maybe can go toe to toe with more of the lane bully mages, or at least stay alive enough to get out of the laning phase and progress into the mid game, right? Like Jinx wants to scale for that late game. You can bully her in the lane phase with the right picks, especially if that mage champion has the right support to go with it. So then do you lean on your support pick, or is there something specific you guys feel you could do with Jinx in terms of rune setups or like a different even build for the early game? Once upon a time, I feel like this is me saying like, oh, back in my day, but back in World Season 4, there was this upset of a game between a Europe team and a team that was called, I actually forget off the top of my head, and I wish I would have done the research before starting this video, but they had a Jinx picked on that team. And I'm also kind of not mentioning it because I guess I do have people that are from Europe that do watch my videos. I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea to bring up that specific team in that event, because I think they feel a bit differently than everybody else does about how much of an upset and stuff that game was. It was a wildcard team though. With that being said, the thing about it that made it interesting to me and why I watched it, of course, was because Jinx was picked. And one of the things this particular player did, Minerva, as a matter of fact, is they actually rushed Hex Drinker. Now at the time, mages weren't prevalent bot lane like they are now. But at the same time, that is an item that does exist in the game that does negate magic damage early. Is one of the things that should be done right now is something like looking at maybe building not even the full Hex Drinker and delaying your build that much, but at least like the null magic mantle or the little cloak that goes into it, right? Something like that for early game for the 450, right? The starting gold isn't quite, actually it actually is quite enough. I don't think you want to forsake, of course, Doran's Blade or Doran's item, but the starting gold and like a pot could get you that to start off the lane phase against mages. And that's kind of the conversation I'm trying to generate with you guys right now, is what exactly do you feel would be the steps to take to deal with mage support or mage champions even in the bottom lane? Do you treat them like mage supports is where I was going, where you go, oh hey, well, if that was the case, you know, when you deal with Brand and Zyra, how do you usually deal with Brand and Zyra down there in the bottom lane when they're a support pick with an AD carry pick that you're dealing with? Do you just get poked to them to death and you just complain about it? Do you find ways to adapt and improve? Because ultimately you want to win, and winning involves not complaining. Man, this is, right? So in my particular opinion, for example, I kind of do a mix of both of those. I don't really complain, I kind of just die. I'm probably the teammate you're complaining about because I'm dying. Because I'm gonna admit, that's not really one of my strong suits, is playing against mages in the bottom lane. Admittedly, for me though, I feel it's just because of my skill more so than it's a problem. But I do want to acknowledge that people do feel like it's a problem, and for like the reasons why. And as a collective, maybe think about, from those, perspectives, what exactly can we maybe change then? Because if Riot's not going to nerf those things, then they, again, in my opinion, from what I'm like my own research, they just don't have enough data to properly nerf those things, even if they wanted to. But let's say they actually don't. They want the bottom lane to be more diverse, and that's something they've kind of been pushing for a while anyways. Let's say this is one of the things where they're like, no, we're taking a back seat. We want this to kind of be a thing and fester this time. And that means we got to change the game as Jinx players and also just as AD carry players and find out what exactly can we do different to adapt to this, right? Because that's how you continue playing champions and stuff. If you want to continue playing them no matter what, you got to adapt, right? Every meta is not going to be your meta. That doesn't mean you can't find ways to win anyways without necessarily having to rely super heavily on your teammates as well. So that's what the conversation I kind of want to generate for this video is. And by the way, I'm sorry, it was Alliance versus Kaboom Esports. I did remember the name, and then I hesitated about mentioning the name, and then I realized people only watch about a minute long. Even the people that like my video, which I appreciate, they only watch like a minute on average of any video I make. So at this point, I should be able to mention it, and no one in the comments will actually know what I was talking about or that I mentioned that. So there we go. It was an interesting game also just because it was an upset that you didn't expect at the time. Where nowadays you expect wildcards to beat teams all the time, so that was also a thing. But again, they had the Jinx at the Hex Drinker, they won the game. They won the game not just because Jinx built Hex Drinker, by the way, let me clarify. But it was like a thing where they kind of did, and it was like something that you wouldn't really consider meta, but it worked. And I guess that's my thing, is the meta so constricting that people then aren't willing to kind of go outside of the meta to figure out new options. They're just kind of like, oh no, if it's not meta, if it's not the proper 3 crit build, it's whatever. Especially because now with crit items being buffed, you probably still want to hold on to the triple crit thing more than ever. But just, even if it's runes at this point, something. What else could we maybe do? What playstyle in lane could you maybe do? Like maybe you got to play the lane a bit differently, right? Maybe in laning phase, there we go. You have to look at, oh hey, well maybe what I used to do was try and poke at level 2 beyond. I tried to hit level 2 first and go in, right? Like that's the level 2 strat, where if you have, especially if you have support like a Thresh or something, you just want to kill the minions as fast as possible, get that level 2, and then go in on the enemy laners. You don't even care if the support's last hitting. You want the experience specifically because you're trying to make sure you hit level 2 first for that level 2 power spike, they call it, and then maybe you can even if you don't necessarily like get them like and kill them and stuff, like if you can get them out of lane, right? You can make them flash. With Ignite, you can burn them down, get control of the minion wave afterwards, and then from level 3 onwards, you keep trying every time. That could be a thing as well. That's kind of what I'm talking about. What can we change about the game if the game's going to change on us? So, oh, there's Nautilus holding up the mirror. That's going to be all for this video, though. That's the main part of this video, the main conversation of this video. Also want to do something a little bit different, going around Summoner's Rift. It's been updated in VRChat. There's no avatars anymore, though, so we are Monokuma, as a matter of fact. But that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, the actual subscribe button. But I don't know which video will be next, because I can have a lot of kinks. So until next time, take care. ggGetJinxed. Thank you for watching, and enjoy pizza responsibly. Here, I went through the trouble of recording the outro. I might as well do this part for you. This is like a little side treat if you're still watching at this point. If you ever have VRChat's free, by the way. You can play it on desktop, and guess what? You can ride the dragon. And if you get on the dragon, eventually it will go up. And when it goes up, it will fly you over all of Summoner's Rift. I guess it won't do it for me now. Probably because I'm recording and I was saying, oh, this would be really cool if we could do it. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it takes like a good 10 seconds for liftoff, and then when it lifts off, you get a whole upper view. This could be some nice B-roll footage. If you, and this is like maybe an alternative, if you're someone that wants to record League content, you want to kind of have Summoner's Rift shots, but you can't necessarily get the League Director tool to work, it's confusing, or just you don't know how to make it work with replays and fraps and all that stuff. If you have OBS and you can make VRChat work, this could be an alternative, right? This could be some, I mean, I'm in a really short avatar, so the dragon's kind of just in the way of the whole flight, because Monokuma's like 2 feet tall. If you want a taller avatar, probably the default avatar that you get will actually be tall enough. You can go that route. But anyways, yeah, that may be like a cool, little, neat, interesting side note if you're someone, especially right now in these times where everybody's at home, you want to try your own hand at making League of Legends content. So there you go, a little bit extra thrown on the end of this video for those of you that do watch all the way through my videos. This is like my thank you to you. Maybe this helps. Maybe it doesn't help. I hope it helps. But you can also get off the dragon at any time. Just be like, hey, see you later. No fall damage. Yeah. So there we go. And there the dragon goes off into. It's a Cloud Drake. What do we care? Let's just go back over here to the Inferno Drake. Elder Drake. Drake names. Yeah. You know the one. Yeah, hey. how's it going? You have really no tongue or no throat. How do you eat? Anyways, that's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Farewell.